This guy posted a horrifying video on his TikTok that he filmed really early in the morning. In his caption, he explains that he woke up suddenly with this creepy feeling that someone was staring at him. Still barely awake, he grabbed his phone and aimed it at his bedroom door. What ended up on that video is something he'll never be able to forget. What would you do if you woke up and saw something like that in your room? It was standing there perfectly still, staring right at him. Want to hear the worst part? He recognized her immediately. That woman was his own grandmother. Having someone come into your room is one thing, but having them just stand there watching you sleep in total silence is something completely different. That's definitely the kind of thing that would terrify anyone. Some people in the comments thought maybe it was sleepwalking, but that's not really what this is about. Sure, sleepwalking can make people do things without thinking, stare blankly, and not respond to anything. But it's also something that's been connected to mysterious beliefs for hundreds and hundreds of years. In some spiritual traditions, there's this idea of night walkers, which are people who go into these trance-like states and supposedly become more open to energies or supernatural things around them. What follows is an eerie recording captured by a night officer who was patrolling an old funeral parlor. He was in one of the back rooms when he noticed something unusual.
Estoy acomodando estas tablitas aquí, pero ya tiene rato que se escucha algo allá al fondo. Allí está un maniquí, son una lata, pero es un ruido muy extraño. Mira, ¿sí lo vieron? Ok. Mira, se asoma una sombra, pero se mete. Mira. Ay, hijo de su puta madre. Y es que ya tiene rato. Bueno, como sea, va a quedar. Y es que guachen aquí. No hay flash. No pasa nada. Mira, estas son las estatuas que te digo. Pero se asomaba de ahí. Mira, no hay nadie.
A weird shape was lurking at the edge of his vision. That was more than creepy. Behind the shelves at the back of the storage area, something stood still just long enough to be spotted by the camera, then melted away until it disappeared entirely. Even more unsettling, the moment he moved closer, his camera frame began to glitch as though an unseen force was tearing at the video signal.
Se va a quedar. Y es que guachen aquí. No hay flash. No pasa nada. Mira, estas son las estatuas que te digo. Pero se asomaba de ahí. Mira, no hay nadie.
It's often said that paranormal entities can mess with electronics. So the only logical thought is that some presence is watching this man, tied to the very funeral home where he works. Is this possible? An officer in France was called to an old, supposedly empty building. Somebody in the area swore they had heard screams. He started by checking the main floor, but found nothing out of the ordinary. Then he headed down into the basement, and that's where things took a terrifying turn.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un encore qui habite ici? Waouh, l'état de la cave. C'est quoi ça?
short footage, you can just make out a towering figure with glowing eyes. It crouches low, as if ready to spring. And right at that moment, the video cuts out. We don't know what happened next, but some think this could be more than a trick of shadows. Could something otherworldly really have lured him into that house? Hard to say. A woman called Dallas Clock uploaded a bunch of clips from her security cameras after something really bothered her. Her little boy seemed to be having full conversations with someone, but he was completely by himself, like he was talking to something only he could perceive.
You don't like me anyway. But you're the abuse. I'm gonna beat you up. 'Cause if you don't be quiet now. Okay. Don't be quiet. Don't be quiet. Don't go.
When you watch the video, the kid is clearly speaking to what he keeps calling a ghost man, and the things he's saying don't sound like pretend play. He tells it to shut up, even says he's going to hit it, but there's nobody else anywhere in the shot. By itself, you might think he's just talking to himself, but then other things started happening that made it a lot harder to brush off. In another video, things get worse.
It's dinner time! Now go outside.
The lady said no more peas.
Go outside. You want
Here are some tater tots. I had this.
Dallas and her husband were in the kitchen making food when a bowl suddenly crashed down from inside a cabinet that was closed. They say this kind of thing had been happening repeatedly, not just once. For days leading up to this, doors kept opening by themselves. Things were shifting around the house, and their son just kept on talking to whoever or whatever nobody else could see. Some people online thought maybe the kid was just repeating lyrics from a song or some rhyme he'd heard, but others noticed the way he was speaking didn't really match how kids that age normally talk. Dallas mentioned later that being inside the house started to feel wrong, like the air itself was heavy and uncomfortable, and they were seriously thinking about moving out. Was this all just a kid with a big imagination combined with random accidents? Or was there actually something going on that's tougher to explain? What's your take on what was happening here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Picture yourself driving along an empty road in the middle of nowhere in the early morning hours. There aren't any lights around, no houses in sight. Then suddenly, you spot a kid standing right there on the road, looking at this footage. Your first instinct is to think it's some kind of spirit. The driver behind the wheel probably had that exact same thought, which explains why he threw the car into reverse. But here's the thing, people online are criticizing his choice to flee, because the kid is actually screaming like he desperately needs help. This clip has triggered a massive argument across the internet. A lot of people, after replaying it multiple times, are convinced it's just a real child calling out for assistance. Maybe his family left him behind by accident, or even worse, dumped him there on purpose. Then there are those who are totally convinced it's a spirit, or possibly even something dark and malicious that can take the shape of a child to make you feel sorry for it, luring victims closer that way. And really, what kid would be wandering by himself in complete darkness at that hour of the night? There's also another theory that came up, one that's just as creepy but more grounded in reality, that criminal groups actually use kids as bait to make drivers pull over so they can rob them. with a weird video sent in by Alejandro Rojas. He's asking us to watch closely what happens behind the man you're about to see. Here's the footage.
Okay, here it goes clear. So, well, guys, the best ones, another day. We'll get into it another day, that team. I'll get into it to tell you that so that you can see that it's not hard. You get in here, and you'll come out down there without any problem, without fear or anything. Why? As I tell you, we grew up here in the...
Once the camera swings around and zooms in on that tree sticking out of the water, you'll spot what looks like the silhouette of a man. Tall, completely black, not moving at all. The weirdest part? It looks like it's standing right on top of the water. Now, there are a few things that could explain this. Maybe the figure was standing on a plank, just below the surface, or possibly on one of the tree's thick roots underneath. It's also possible the shadow combined with the uneven depth of the river created some kind of optical illusion. But none of that explains why it looks so calm, like it doesn't care that it's standing there. Is this actually a person, or is it something we can't quite identify? The following footage corresponds to a disturbing recording filmed on an Argentinian highway, footage that has sent chills through those who've watched it. It was during the early morning hours when an officer chose to record captured part of his drive along Route 1001 in Gonzales, Catan. A road that, according to locals, carries a dark reputation. However, he never expected what his camera was about to capture. At first glance, they're hard to spot, but if you look carefully, you'll clearly make out two human silhouettes at the roadside. Dark shadows, somewhat translucent, that seem to completely ignore the vehicle's presence. There are no streetlights, no people, no element that could project something like that, and yet there they are. Those who've seen this footage claim that on this very stretch of road, strange and unexplainable situations have occurred. Drivers who say they've seen figures in the middle of the road, sudden radio interference, lights that go out for no apparent reason, and even vehicles that experience electrical failures right when passing through this spot. The most skeptical say it's all due to the poor lighting of the area, and that people are simply getting worked up after watching the video. But others insist there's nothing coincidental about any of this. In fact, some nearby residents maintain that years back, human remains would have been found in the surrounding area, possibly victims of accidents, or even something more sinister. Could this footage then be visual evidence of those energies trapped in that place? This footage comes from an Indonesian wildlife ranger working a night shift to protect native animals and prevent unauthorized people from entering the protected area. After hearing what sounded like unusual screaming noises in the darkness, he decided to investigate the source more thoroughly to determine what was happening. Understandably, he felt somewhat apprehensive at first as he approached the strange sounds.
Seperti ada yang lewat-lewat, teman-teman. Seperti ada yang lari-lari. Seriusan dari belakang gini. Tapi begitu kita lihat, ya ada sesuatu, teman-teman.
To his initial relief, the noises appeared to be coming from local wildlife that he could see looking back at him in his flashlight beam. This momentary comfort was short-lived, however. As the ranger moved his camera to scan the surrounding area, he captured something entirely unexpected and disturbing.
Kita coba ke sana dulu.
When the mysterious figure retreated into the dense undergrowth, the ranger made the bold decision to follow her, despite his unease. According to his official report of the incident, the woman-like figure completely vanished into the darkness as he pursued her. The ranger remains uncertain about what exactly transpired that night, whether someone was deliberately playing an elaborate prank on him, or if he encountered something truly unexplainable. In his detailed account of the experience, he described the encounter as extremely terrifying. This short disturbing video was posted by Rosanna, who's been dealing with paranormal activity for a while now in an apartment she bought not too long ago, and honestly, each clip she uploads is creepier than the last one. One night, as she was getting ready for bed, she started hearing these moaning sounds coming from her bathroom. So Rosanna, who's gotten somewhat used to this paranormal stuff by now, worked up the nerve to go check out what was going on. As she got closer to the bathroom door, the sounds got louder and more distinct. But what happened once she opened that door and flipped on the light would leave both Rosanna and everyone watching completely terrified. Watch this closely. The moment the light comes on, you can clearly see this black smoke-like thing inside the shower, and it just vanishes into thin air immediately. Rosanna freezes in total fear for a few seconds before she finally moves closer to check the shower, where, sadly, she doesn't find anything at all. But the second she closes the door and steps out of that room, she hears it all over again. Completely freaked out, she decides to pack up and stay at a hotel for the next few days, at least until she can get her fear under control. So, what the hell is happening in that apartment? And more importantly, what was that black smoke-like thing sitting in the shower? Share your theories with me down in the comments section. Our first clip was recorded by James Fitzpatrick 18, but today the inexplicable events take place at his own home.
Took video of it. This weekend it was pointed out to me that in the background something peers out from our daughter's room. I guess is looking. My wife and I were the only ones in the house at the time. Our daughter was at my parents' house for the day.
So what was going on exactly today? Now, what exactly did the man capture in his child's bedroom? It certainly looks like a head which is peeking out, a head with long dark hair. Can we be sure? Of course not, but it's an eerie clip no matter what. This footage originates from the Japanese Channel 4th wall. In the clip, a security surveillance officer enters a dwelling situated on the town's edges near a mountain base somewhere in Japan. The dwelling has allegedly been deserted for half a century, with the previous occupants being a household of 5, a father in his 70s and 4 sons in their 40s. The dwelling sits on a land currently owned by a woman named Ray. Because of the remote location, details about the property are scarce, but nearby residents mention that all 5 members of this specific household were all declared deceased simultaneously. The cameraman chooses to venture inside by himself and capture some footage. What he records is undeniably disturbing. One of the partition doors can be spotted shaking and shifting on its own, but when he approaches it to investigate, he discovers nothing is present. At this stage, the cameraman is quite unsettled and wants to exit, but he chooses to continue through the dwelling and complete his recording, and that's when he witnesses something eerie. A shadowy shape can be spotted moving behind the glass panel, and then a door glides to a close entirely by itself, and when he spins back around, the shape has vanished completely. Now, roughly 3 months afterward, in mid-September of 2023, a different cameraman arrives to examine the property, and he also encounters an unnerving experience. He too captures a dark shadowy shape lurking behind one of the entryways, but when he goes to pull it open and search the space, he discovers nothing is there. The sighting resembles what the other cameraman recorded behind the glass panel. He then chooses to position some infrared cameras throughout the dwelling while he stays overnight, and after some time, one of them records something disturbing. An eerie shape can be spotted, gradually moving past the window panels in one of the spaces, and then, moments later, an entryway opens by itself. The paranormal activity appears to increase when somebody is near the dwelling. And supposedly, nobody ever witnessed the father's 4 sons ever exiting the dwelling, which is odd for 4 men in their 40s to never venture outside, causing the cameraman to suspect these spirits are anticipating visitors. But who can say? We're in an old house built in 1859 in Memphis, Tennessee, a home that sits directly across from a funeral parlor where autopsies are routinely performed. Hunter, the homeowner, would face an unsettling moment at night. Completely alone, he recorded what you're about to see right on his front porch.
What in the actual hell? There's literally...
Hunter mentioned that he opened the door because at times people have been seen going door to door asking for help.
We live in downtown Memphis, which means we're used to having a homeless population. Usually when it rains, we will have homeless people walk up on the porch, and it is sad, but we do have to ask them to leave because we're on a private property. We live in between 2 commercial buildings, so they often assume that we're a commercial building ourselves and no one's here, but that's not the case. We live here. Every time I have had to ask a homeless person to get off the porch, they've always been kind, sweet, or just listened. They're just like you and me. They're just in much rougher circumstances. I was perplexed in the video because I didn't pay attention to the light passing through the shadow. I was like, it's not raining. Why is someone on my front porch? I get that to a lot of you in your everyday lives, that's not a good call. And probably moving forward, I won't do that. But I've been in that situation multiple times and I just didn't think anything about it. It's about culture and what you're used to.
Hunter even made another video detailing how inexplicable it was to step outside and find absolutely no one there.
Front of our house where somebody would be. For them to run, where would they have to hide? It goes straight out, guts out. This way, another commercial building, it juts out. They would also have to jump down into this drop of a fence and go that way.
Hunter says that what he experienced that night left him with a lingering unease that still accompanies him today. He wonders whether what appeared behind the glass was not a person of flesh and blood, but the echo of souls that never left the funeral home across the street. This next clip was captured by a nurse who filmed on behalf of an older resident in a nursing home, a favor that turned into a memory she still can't shake even now. The plan was simple. The resident wanted a video of herself blessing a room where, according to staff and tenants, many people had passed away. Residents whisper about this place as the death room. The resident intended to cleanse the space and upload the whole thing to her Facebook group afterward. Unfortunately, the upload never happens, because what followed didn't go the way anyone expected.
Heavenly Father, I ask for your divine presence to fill this space. May your light shine brightly through every room, cleansing this home of any negativity, fear, or unrest. Let peace dwell in every corner and love be the foundation of every wall. Bless this home with your protection, surrounding it with your angels, and shielding it from harm and evil. May every door be a passage to your grace, and every window open to your blessings. In Jesus, may every door be a passage to your grace, and every window open to your blessings.
It happens in a flash, but the rosary lifts as if caught by unseen fingers. It truly looks like someone yanked the bead string. However, no one stands beside her. The person filming is a nurse at this care center, and she says that while recording, she suddenly felt nauseous for no clear reason. She is convinced there is something off about this room, and she notes there have been other incidents tied to this space over the years. One episode she can't stop replaying comes from a co-worker who filmed during a group therapy session.
You want to have one? Use it. Sheila.
Against all training, the dog breaks from the circle, fixes on that same doorway, and refuses to look away, a choice that is highly unusual for an animal conditioned to remain calm at the handler's side. Stranger still, the dog starts to whimper as if responding to something unseen. For several nurses, the only explanation they can accept is that the room is haunted, and given how many people have taken their last breath in that space, neither residents nor staff find the notion hard to believe.
Why is it beeping? I don't know, no one's in there. It's crazy. Get the light, get the light. You say you checked it? Yes. Did you just get that on camera? No. Stop. I'm not playing with you anymore. I don't like this. No, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. This is insane right now. Right there.
Right now.
As before, the room looks vacant, and yet events continue inside as if an unseen occupant were moving about on a routine of their own. Which is why some residents have tried to take matters into their hands, blessing the doorway, speaking aloud to whatever might be listening, and asking the disturbances to end. Despite every attempt, nothing seems to shift for long, and today the staff can only admit that they do not know what is wrong with that space. During a routine inspection of what should have been an empty room, the footage shows an odd figure just standing there, facing the wall. Within seconds, this shape completely vanishes from sight. The security worker who recorded this is convinced they witnessed something supernatural. Given the hotel's reputation for being haunted, perhaps this adds another chapter to the building's eerie history.